All right, welcome everyone. My name is Megan Conrad. I'll be your host today. And we have a great speaker, Andreas. He'll be here to answer all your questions and talk about getting started with your first intelligent ERP use case in SAP S/4HANA. Before we get started, if you have any questions today, we ask that you please put in the Q&A, and I'll be reading it and Andreas will be answering it throughout the session. And also at the end, we have a Q&A. But also, if you want to raise your hand, I'll let you off mute and you can ask Andreas directly throughout the session as well. So either option, whatever you feel most comfortable with, and we'll get going. Also, if you are new to SAP Community, we have a bunch of tutorials on the site that you can follow for more information, how to get your profile started, how to follow tags, how to follow topics. It's all right there. We have the links, and we'll provide you all this in an email afterwards as well, so you can have all the information. Also, I'll put the link to follow the S/4HANA tag in the chat too, so you can go into that if you're a member of the community. And yeah, it's all there for you here. Like I said, this presentation will be in a follow-up email, but also I'll put it in the chat. So Andreas, without further ado, on to you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Megan. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone, wherever you are. I'm really excited to have you as part of this session today and help answer any questions you have around getting started with your first intelligent ERP use case in SAP S/4HANA. Like I said, my name is Andreas Welsch. I lead the Intelligent Processes Product Management organization as part of the S/4HANA unit at SAP. And our mission is to bring more intelligence, automation, and better insights into the end-to-end processes supported by SAP S/4HANA so that you can derive better business outcomes. So, when we talk about intelligence, when we talk about this term of an intelligent process, the question we frequently get is, first of all, why do you care so much about it, and what's actually behind that meaning, right? And behind that term. And it's pretty simple, right? We look at the market, we talk to our customers, we see and hear that, yes, obviously things like artificial intelligence, machine learning, robotic process automation, and so on have been quite the hype topics over the last 3-4 years. But especially when it comes to machine learning and AI, our customers tell us that, hey, we're struggling to go beyond the POC, right? We're testing these things out, we're building prototypes, but then really when it comes time to scale them into different markets, global markets, different languages, and so on, we're really struggling there. So that's where we want to help by embedding these types of capabilities natively into SAP S/4HANA. So you don't need to do that heavy lifting. We help you do that, or we even do that for you. And so you can rely on the robust foundation that SAP is known for and has been known for. I'll keep the introduction brief here so we can really have an interactive session and more of a dialogue rather than a one-way conversation, right? But the part that's really important for us when we look at how we make that happen is that we think about it as 3 A's, right? We want to help assist the end user making better decisions and data-driven decisions. We want to help adapt processes, for example, based on sensor data that you can pull in. And we want to help you automate parts of your process. That could be using machine learning to automate more complex and repetitive tasks, or robotic process automation to automate things within the system or even between systems. And all of that, needs to be enterprise grade, so you can run it at scale, so that there's good governance, authorization concepts, and so on around it. That whatever we build and whatever you leverage delivers better business outcomes. That you can trust the predictions, the information you get from SAP here, and that the use cases we build are based on data that has been obtained in a trustful way. And lastly, that these capabilities are integrated seamlessly in the product and in the end-to-end process. So, but just to talk about what makes up that intelligent ERP. we see 5 key components here, right? We see conversational AI or a digital assistant as a natural language interface to give you the opportunity to work more seamlessly and easily with that system for simple questions, for example, right? So you don't need to look up the information and navigate long trees or find the right apps and so on. Secondly, with SAP Intelligent RPA, we give you the opportunity to execute tasks on a more frequent, more repetitive scale. You know, who likes filling out Excel sheets or uploading them to the next system? So we should leave that to the bot and focus on the more higher value tasks. But you know, then there are situations in business where there could be discrepancies. You expect, for example, some goods to arrive on a certain date, but you see that this is most likely not going to happen on that date. So why wait until you actually find out that the goods are not going to arrive when you already have the information in the system? So give a proactive notification to that business user and say, hey, we see that this is likely going to happen or is happening. Here are some options that you can take to mitigate that risk. Talked a bit about machine learning as well, where we learn from historic data to really automate parts of a process using that information and data available to us. And then lastly, what I mentioned earlier as well around the Internet of Things, where we pull in sensor data, again, to do machine learning and predictive on top. So I'll take a pause here for a second and see if you have any questions. We can, for example, look at a few example scenarios or where you can find information to get started. But I'm really curious to hear who of you have already tried out maybe some of these things, what you found, and what we can help you with on your journey to adopting this.
Feel free to raise your hand and I'll take you off mute. Or if you'd rather, you can type in the Q&A. Feel free to have this as a discussion, everyone. You don't have to wait till the end of the Q&A.
Okay. So while you're thinking about some questions, I could show you a few more details around the sales order process. We've just released some exciting innovation at the end of last year to help extract information from sales orders and put that directly into SAP S/4HANA to accelerate that part of the workflow. And then we can go from there. So what I wanted to show you is this example here of something we call sales order automation. We've seen that frequently in this quote to cash process, you know, you get your orders in from your customers, either it's an email or it's in a PDF, and then somebody needs to go in, open that email, open that PDF, copy and paste the information, enter it in the system, and then continue on with that process. But you know, there's really no need to have a person do all of this, and you would rather have them spend time with your customer on the phone or in person, you know, talking about these things rather than just doing the manual mundane copy and paste. So here's where sales order automation in SAP S/4HANA comes in. That is based on a service we call document information extraction to extract information from PDFs. So here in this example, you would go create the sales order, take the PDF, designate the company code that you want to upload this for, upload it, it's added then to the queue. There's a job running in the background extracting information from this PDF. And then, so you can see that here, what that looks like, what the PDF looks like. And based on that extracted information, we can see if it's fully complete or if there's more information needed, which is here the case. So we create a sales order draft that then the sales rep can edit and further refine. For example, here the item data we see there are some changes needed. So we can go to edit. See, it says data incomplete. So that would be an example where we have not been able to extract all the information. So the user adds this information, clicks save, has reviewed that, yes, this is correct. And now we can create the final sales order. But really this part of getting around the copy and paste, getting around the error prone part is where that really helps, and where it helps tremendously if you're getting a lot of sales orders. And there's additional information that you can view here. For example, whether something is blocked, and continue on with the next steps. So the exciting part here really is that it helps automate this creation of sales orders from PDFs using standard capabilities that are available on SAP's Business Technology Platform, formerly known as SAP Cloud Platform, and helps improve the productivity of your sales team, especially in that process. There are a ton of similar examples in finance, for example, or in procurement, that you can already leverage today if you are licensed or have a subscription for SAP S/4HANA. Again, I'll take a pause and take any questions you might have at this point.
Once again, feel free to raise your hand or type it in the Q&A. Looks like we have a shy crowd today.
Perfectly fine. Here in the US, it's still early morning, so perfectly fine. So then maybe why don't we take a look at some of the technologies one by one, and again how you can start it, how you can get started, and where you can find information. So what do you find is that a lot of times customers are looking for a quick way to get started with this. And since I'm making the assumption, many of you are familiar with robotic process automation that helps automate repetitive tasks. That seems to be a good entry point into that whole space of automation around S/4HANA. And the way we offer this is as an automation platform on SAP Business Technology Platform, where you can create and run, maintain, and monitor your RPA bots. But we don't just offer that. We also provide pre-built content. It's about 60 to 70 pre-built bot templates that you can use to help jumpstart your project. So there are only maybe slight modifications you need to make to adapt it to your business process and to the systems and applications in your environment, if they're not just SAP or not just S/4HANA. But we see that it tremendously helps accelerate the time to value and time to go live here. I can see we do have a question in the chat or the Q&A. I'll get to that in a second. So for RPA, we do offer a free trial. I believe that's about 90 days good. So you can try that out free of charge, and already leverage some of that bot content here and try it out in your environment. There's the SAP Intelligent RPA Store, where you can find these templates. So if you Google SAP Intelligent RPA Store, it'll lead you to this page. And for example, you can filter by application S/4HANA. So right now, see there's 59 in there. If you're familiar with scope items in S/4HANA, that's what this abbreviation is for. And you can take a closer look at what each of these bots offer, what area they're for. So for example, here, financial and logistics services, which application or which versions of S/4HANA this is applicable for, essentials, extended, on-premise. And you can download these files and edit them in your environment as well. SAP Intelligent RPA has two main components in its latest version 2.0, one being the Cloud Factory / Cloud Studio, where you upload your RPA packages. For example, this content that you see right here, we can edit that, and then you can deploy it to a desktop agent component that would allow you to either run this as an attended bot with the user logged in and in front of the screen to help speed up their workflow, or as an unattended bot in the background or the back end on a VM or on a server, for example. So, and again, we see this as a great entry point when we talk to our customers, that they are looking for ways to get more automation out of their process and quick ways to do so. So this is a fantastic way to get started and dip your feet in the water. So I see question from Jyoti in Q&A that I believe was related to the earlier topic around sales order automation. And she's asking, is this functionality available with basic SAP S/4HANA on-premise licenses? So sales order automation, we've made that available, I believe, with release 2011 for the cloud, and are looking into ways to also making this available for on-premise. At this point, it's cloud only, and again, very, very easy to get started there and enable that and try that out. But the way we are on the release cycles, we first released for cloud, we're on 4 quarterly releases at the moment, and then with an annual on-premise release, typically in the fall, where much of that innovation is then folded into. All right. Any other questions from those of you joining? Okay, if not, we can take a look at the next one, situation handling. Again, I would say that's one of the hidden gems of intelligent automation in S/4HANA. At this point, a well-kept secret, but we're here to change that. Situation handling is an intelligent framework that helps you and helps your business users get notified of approaching business situations. So I mentioned that earlier around discrepancies, when you expect something to arrive on a certain date, but now you see that it's not arriving at that date. When there are changes to business objects in the system that you want to notify your users about proactively, and when you want to give them recommendations for how they can solve or address these problems. And you can do that right in your Fiori application without the need to change applications or even change systems. So it's very seamlessly integrated in a very intuitive user experience. What we see is that it takes about 30 to 45 minutes to configure one situation in your system, where you define some parameters, for example, the company code, dates, thresholds, and most importantly, which user or which group of users should receive this notification if it does occur in your business. So I wanted to show you another quick demo of this right here. So you can see what that looks like, and again, where you can find more information to enable these situations by yourself. Again, there are about 60 to 70 templates available at this point, and we continuously add with every quarterly release. So let me get this rolling here. So in this case here, we're looking at a so-called quantity deficit, where we expect something to arrive in a certain quantity, but we find out that we are actually receiving or will be receiving fewer items than we need. So here you see this notification on the right called quantity deficit in suppliers delivery. The employee in purchasing clicks on that notification and receives additional information. So you can see that here in this orange box. So based on delivery confirmation, a certain quantity ordered will not be delivered on the expected date. And you have a few days left before this situation actually occurs, which would be in 7 days. Here, using situation handling and the intelligence in background, we give you suggestions for alternative suppliers from whom or which you can source the same material. So you will have it in the right quantity by the date you need it. Now, if you just want to look at the normal view without this added intelligence, you can also hide that, and you're back to the regular Fiori application with all the information here. So again, in a very seamless, non-intrusive way, adding intelligence here with very, very low effort, but deriving that better business outcomes and better insights, because now your business user is getting this notification here that there's something that they need to take a look at and take action on. There's very comprehensive information here available on help.sap.com that I would recommend you check out about situation handling, what some of the examples are, where you can use situation handling, what the use cases are that we provide to date, and then also step-by-step information for how you can configure these use cases in your environment. The best part is, if you are already licensed for SAP S/4HANA or have a subscription for it, you can use that right away. There's no additional cost involved, no license needed. So that's why I highly encourage you to check that out, try it out in your test system, and see what this looks like in your environment. Perfect.
Andreas, we have a question in the chat if you have a moment.
All right. So Satinda is asking, is it possible to create custom situation handling scenarios in S/4HANA now, or are we limited by SAP provided scenarios only? So we've made situation handling available with release 18.05, and since then have been delivering situation handling templates from SAP. The ability to create your own scenarios is something that we are currently planning for to be released later this year. Again, the usual disclaimer, subject to change. But we frequently get this request from customers, hey, I want to create my own situation. Great that you're already delivering things on the box, but I need something that's a little different, or that goes a little beyond that. So be on the lookout for more information to come on this as we move throughout the year. But definitely something that we frequently hear from customers. Yeah. Good. Perfect. Have some of you had a chance to look at something like situational handling already in your business, or is most of this information new for you? I'm really curious. I think Satinda is raising his hand.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes. Hey, good morning. So yes, we have used it. In fact, I came to know of this in 1809 for one of our S/4HANA project. It was a conversion project. Mm-hmm. They were not implementing any Fiori apps to begin with, what happens with any conversion program, but immediately after go live, they did consider implementing a couple of custom Fiori apps. So mm-hmm. we built a lot of end-to-end Fiori apps for them. That is where situation handling came up for the first time. They really liked it, and that is mm-hmm. where I asked the question if there is a possibility to add it. So I understand SAP might take a little longer to provide options to do custom situation handling for SAP provided tiles, but for the scenarios that customers build, which are custom end-to-end, like in this particular case, they had a lot of processes which were happening on multiple systems. Something was happening on ECC, something was happening manually, something was happening on BI systems. So when we moved to S/4HANA, we were able to consolidate all those processes onto S/4HANA using embedded analytics, other automation and all that. And that is where we wanted to embed situation handling also.
Okay.
We could use notifications. Mm-hmm. Rest of the thing we built manually. But if so we have used it. I have generally seen customers like this thing also, the way mm-hmm. the system automatically prompts and you don't have to look for the issues. So they are appreciating it. It's just that yes, since we still do a lot of custom development, for those from scratch custom development scenarios. They were looking for this thing.
Perfect. Thank you so much for sharing, Satinder.
Yeah.
Like I said, keep on the lookout throughout this year. We expect to share some more news.
Yeah,
planning as of this point. Yeah.
Yeah, but this is indeed a good functionality. I'm happy that SAP has added this.
Perfect. Thanks for the feedback.
Yeah, thanks.
All right.
Also in the chat, someone wrote, it's quite new and I haven't seen clients using this.
Okay. Yeah. We've added this to the process descriptions and test scripts. So if you are, for example, a partner helping customers implement this, I would also encourage you to take a look at these things. What's in the process description, and we find, you know, it's really key also to Satinder's point, right? If your customer is doing a technical migration, you also have an opportunity to expose them to these kinds of innovations that will, you know, deliver more value in that business process for them. So again, different ways and options to learn about it. If you're following the SAP Activate methodology, there's a lot of good information and content in the different phases about this kind of innovation. So I can only recommend taking a look at that too, and incorporating that into your conversations with your customer. Perfect. Then let's maybe move back. So this was one part around what we call intelligent situation automation. So some of the more recent situation handling templates do come with something we call a data story and a data context. So the idea is that we can capture more information on how the user actually interacts with that situation. And you know, typically they take this solution recommendation. You know, you should follow up with your supplier here, or choose an alternative supplier, or send an email to follow up, or trigger an RPA bot or something. So by collecting that information, again, using machine learning, we want to give the user some recommendations and for how they typically do or typically should react to the situation. So some of these things here around the analysis and the automation are already in place. Others are being developed at the moment and are on the roadmap. But really the idea is, how can we help automate more and more of these situations, and especially, or even though, you know, they might be rather small by itself, but they do have an impact that does compound further on in the process if you don't attend to that situation and try to resolve it. So moving on then to the last part of our technology bundle, if you will, things we have in our toolbox, and that being machine learning. You know, it's we have such a lot of amount of data and information in our systems and in SAP S/4HANA as well. So the intent here is really to help you and help your customers and your users make better decisions by looking at their data, making predictions, making recommendations right then and there where they need it, and integrate it natively into SAP S/4HANA. The way we do this is basically two ways. One is where we have structured data already in the tables in your database in your SAP S/4HANA system. That's mainly done using a concept called embedded machine learning, predictive analytics, for example, for simple regression, classification type scenarios. But then when we need more, even more scale, because we work with unstructured data, PDF documents, Excel, images, these kinds of things, those are typically workloads that run side by side on SAP's business technology platform, and where we use these capabilities or microservices that are available there. So in the earlier example around sales order automation, this document information extraction service, for example, is a component of SAP business technology platform that we connect to and leverage in S/4HANA then. What we've recently shipped again at the end of last year is a feature called Intelligent Scenario Lifecycle Management that allows you to manage and maintain your embedded and side-by-side models from one common front end. I can show you in about a minute or minute and 10 seconds what that looks like, because we see that frequently customers say, hey, I'm getting started here. I want to use more than one or two models, but maybe I'm using something in finance and I'm using another capability in procurement. And how do I keep track of these things? How do I manage the governance and the access to those models? Who can train and retrain them? And that's what really Intelligent Scenario Lifecycle Management intends to address. So maybe real quick here, like I said, it takes about a minute to go through this, but wanted to show that to you and make you aware of it. So in this case here, we're looking at the Intelligent Scenarios app, where we can create a new model. In this case, that would be an embedded model. We define some parameters here. We say that's a regression scenario, give it a description, and say add this new model. Here for this model, we also then define the training data set, where to find the data in the tables in your ERP system, and what some of the features are that you're looking for. We train this model, can check the status. We see that this is currently still scheduled. There's still training. We have one version. We click on that and get more information here around predictive power, predictive confidence, and the different influencers in this model. When you select this, you can activate it for use in production. You can also deactivate or reactivate earlier versions if you want to move back, and certainly do the entire model management and lifecycle management. So also in terms of compliance, this is a very important feature now to consider here as well. So you can always jump back in time and look at these results and how the model has evolved compared to previous versions. Again, that's available as part of SAP S/4HANA 2020 and newer. And would highly encourage you to take a look at that. There's an excellent blog series by one of our product managers, Raghu, that I would encourage you to check out. And we've even released a book on machine learning in S/4HANA at the end of last year. That's available through SAP Press if you're interested in learning more about that specifically. So again, I'll take a pause here and see if there are any questions. Okay. So again, just to sum up, it all starts with data, whether it's structured data or unstructured data. Make sure you have clean data, the right amount of data to get started here. If it's structured data, typically the embedded machine learning cases based on SAP HANA predictive analysis library or automated predictive library are excellent ways to work around regression, clustering, classification, time series, and so on. So more of the statistical things, whereas then the side-by-side scenarios in SAP Business Technology Platform are typically used for natural language processing, deep learning, and so on, where we need massive parallel processing in the cloud to help make that happen. So there's a ton of additional information, again, as well on the SAP Community sites, and I would encourage you to take a look at if you're interested in learning more about this. Lots of great information, again, about situation handling, embedded machine learning, general introduction, again, what are intelligent processes and why should you care, and how and where you can get started. Again, if you're interested in learning more about this or would like to get more help from SAP enabling your first use case, please do reach out and let us know where and how we can help you and assist you best. With this, we're at the end of the planned presentation. I'll open it up for more Q&A if you have any questions. Thank you so much for attending. And again, looking forward to a bit more dialogue here as well.
So we had a question if the presentation will be available after, and of course it will. We will be following up with after the session with an email with the available links as well, and the recording in case you missed anything. And also in the chat, I put the links to our SAP community as well as the tag for S/4HANA and the topic page. So you can check that out as well. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand and I will allow you to talk or in the Q&A.
Hi, this is Satinder again. So one of the other common questions in context of intelligent ERP that we get from our customers is how easy is it to integrate with other options available, which could be non-SAP also. For example, you have some of the similar services available from AWS or Google or Azure. I understand this session is from SAP, but then like when customers ask this question, I just want to understand how is SAP tackling that? I'm assuming you also would be getting those questions from them. So how easy is it to integrate? Are there some services wherein we see that maybe today they are not available in the SAP landscape, but it's on the roadmap and it's going to be available in future that will put SAP Intelligent Platform at par with others what is available?
Yeah. So I would say today that's still very much a customer integration project where you would either move data around so you can train it on one of the hyperscalers, and then again this displayed in your Fiori apps, for example.
Mm-hmm.
But that's exactly the point, why we want to help build these things natively into S/4HANA, so you don't need to move data around or build these things from scratch.
Okay. But then I'm sure you also would have faced this problem, right? Sometimes for customers, this also becomes a skill problem. So in the same line, the question that we get asked is, let's say for intelligent automation, somebody already has skills for, maybe intelligent automation is not a good technology option, but let's say AI/ML, right? Somebody already has good skills for maybe a different non-SAP service that they have been using in their enterprise for a while now.
Mm-hmm.
And at least for the things that they will build custom, whatever is natively provided by SAP, obviously they will use it as is. There is no need to redo that thing. But for the custom development that they will do, they say that purely for that skill availability rather than investing in a new skill, that is the other technologies what they have been using in their enterprise otherwise, and they would want to continue using that. Like in such cases also, we still recommend to them that there are advantages in the SAP options for the custom development scenario also. I agree with you that for the standard SAP provided things, SAP definitely has advantage, but for the custom development one, does SAP...
Yes, I see your point. I would say, where it's possible and where it makes sense, also where it makes sense for the customer, I would recommend looking at the SAP technology, so you don't need to move data around. But yes, where that's not an option, or where the customer's requirements are different, and where they want or need to solve it using technology of one of our partners, that's an option as well. It might not be as seamless or as straightforward in that case, but I think that's one of the beauties of SAP over the last couple of years. We've become so much more open and are embracing many of these partner machine learning platforms and solutions as well in a tight collaboration.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, sure.
Thanks, Andreas.
Thanks, Satinder.
Thanks everyone for the questions. Unfortunately, we are out of time, but if you have further questions, you can reach out to Andreas directly, but we also ask that you post your questions on our SAP S/4HANA topic or tags page in the SAP community as well. Like I said, we'll be following up with the recording and email following this session. And if you have any questions, like I said, feel free to go to these links provided here. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Andreas.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.